Before we begin your regularly scheduled programming, we here at Cable Television would like to speak briefly to you all about an immensely contemporary and concerning topic. This, of course, is climate change. Follow me so we can uncover what the talk of the town is all about. Ah, the American way of life. Isn't it grand? I could smell the eggs and bacon from here. Wouldn't it be a shame if something were to happen to this heartwarming slice of life we're all laying our eyes upon at this very moment? Unfortunately, that may be the case. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the direction that our home, planet Earth, is heading. And unless we all act on this, then the condition of our home will only worsen, because we are, in fact, the problem. Let's walk through this, shall we? It starts with a phrase known as carbon dioxide emissions. Carbon dioxide, CO2 for short, is a colorless, odorless, and non-poisonous gas formed by a combustion of carbon and in the respiration of living organisms. CO2 is considered a greenhouse gas. Emissions means the release of greenhouse gases and or their precursors into the atmosphere over a specific area and period of time. Carbon emissions are a natural and necessary aspect of our life. However, we are overproducing CO2. And that, my friends, is the issue at hand. An overproduction of CO2 along with various other gases leads to an increase in the temperature of our precious planet by trapping solar energy into the atmosphere, and this does not bode well for us folks. This is because an increase in global temperature leads to dramatic changes in growing season for food crops, and boy do we need that. Additionally, this increase of temperature will start to melt glaciers and sorts, which rises sea levels. Considering that 40% of the world population lives within 100 kilometers of the coast, these rising sea levels will bring that percentage down. And I say that with the uttermost grief and fear. Although the loss of our food and home seems to be a clear dilemma, we continue to overproduce CO2. From major corporations to everyday citizens, we are all contributing to this spike in carbon emissions that has been increasing since the days of the Industrial Revolution. To exemplify, our average carbon emissions was about 280 parts per million, or ppm for short. Now, as of April 2018, their average carbon emissions per month has reached 410 ppm, therefore making it the highest quantity carbon emissions in the last 20 million years. That, folks, is alarming. And yet we still continue to contribute to this increase of CO2 by burning fossil fuels. We drive gas-powered cars, overconsume products that produce waste, pollute the air, and much more. Now, this all may seem down and damper. However, we all can help clean up our mess. There are a good number of solutions being integrated into our modern society. They just need to grow. Let's talk about a few. The first and most difficult challenge is the elimination of fossil fuels, which includes oil, coal, and natural gases. Modern society is very dependent on these, therefore eliminating them would cause a catastrophic socioeconomic decline. Luckily, there are solutions to help aid this dilemma. These solutions may not be perfect in terms of reducing our dependence on oil, but they will be helpful. Usage of windmills, electrifying vehicles, plant-derived plastics, biodiesels, and solar panels are all possible helpful alternatives. Another climate change solution is investing in companies that specialize in carbon dioxide capture and storage. There's actually an unidentified area between Houston and the Gulf Coast that is home to an unnamed company that has a 50-megawatt natural gas plant that will capture effectively all the carbon dioxide it produces without significantly higher costs, in part by relying on the greenhouse gas itself to crank the turbine that generates electricity. This technology could enable a new generation of plants that provide clean power without the development of risks of nuclear power. Upgrading infrastructure is another pointer for you folks. Homes in the United States alone produce 43% of all greenhouse emissions. A solution to this is investing in thicker insulations to reduce the amount of use from an air conditioner or heater. This not only would help the environment, but it would also be more cost efficient in the long run. Other ways of reducing our carbon footprint on a small scale would be to move closer to work or schools in order to reduce the amount of time in the car, or simply take public transportation. In simpler terms, individuals can combat climate change by consuming less and being more efficient with resources in order to conserve what the Earth has provided for everyone in the world. All these smaller scale solutions seem ineffective on an individual level. However, if people collectively decide to participate, they can make great strides in the fight against climate change for the sake of humanity. However, in order for these solutions to be put into action, the world needs to be aware of the threat that climate change has on the Earth. This is where media can play a part in the fight. Environmental data activism is a spectacular medium that helps create awareness of the environmental impacts caused by them and their consumption of materials produced by major corporations. To exemplify, Toxic Sites is a platform that collects data from Environmental Protection Agency, also known as the EPA, as well as other resources in order to produce a visual report of how many areas of the world are polluted or considered toxic. People do not often go to the EPA's website and seek information due to the fact that it is not very user-friendly. That is why websites such as Toxic Sites work on gathering data and publish it to an individual manner to go along with the world's increased interest and activity with visuals over text. As you folks can see, climate change is here, and it will not leave unless humanity as a whole does something about it. Many have begun the fight, but we need you to join up and go toe-to-toe with climate change for Mother Nature's sake. There are many solutions out there, and now it's time to go out and start acting on them. However, before I let you go, I need to let you know that these are not definite solutions. They are merely actions that we can take as a collective group to help combat climate change. So, as you begin the fight, please ask yourself the question, how can these solutions be integrated into our society? Can they be implemented through legal action? Can this truly be done? I do not have all the answers, but if we work together, then we can create some positive change for our planet. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming.